So, and I don't actually mind which order you do this. So whoever would like to get me started.
Good evening, I'm Charlotte Berry, I'm 22 years old, I've lived in Madeline Street for 20 years, and I think it's really important to communicate to the people who aren't in this room that this isn't about the fact that the council did not support your carport or your swimming pool, but it's actually about democracy and it's about the future of our voices. And if we amalgamate, having one of 13 representatives in a new mega council, how on earth do you expect your children and even my children to expect their voices to be heard? So if our local members aren't listening to us now, I can only imagine what might happen to this suburb with a severely diminished council. So it's our responsibility to keep the conversation going in your households, with your neighbours, anywhere, on social media. It's our responsibility. We are a great suburb. Let's keep it that way.
In 1988, a friendship pact between Hunters Hill Council and Le Vésinet in France was formed. Now, 28 years later, a major section of that pact is a very successful reciprocal exchange program which has seen over 200 local students participate. This now looks like it could be in jeopardy.
On the 21st of June 1986, my late wife and I came from Melbourne to Sydney to celebrate her birthday. Within 5 hours, we had decided to sell up our business, our home in Melbourne, and move to Sydney. No, not to Sydney, to Hunters Hill. And that's what Hunters Hill means to me. All my family live in Hunters Hill. Until the recent death in the family, we had 5 homes in the municipality. Hunters Hill is a very special place. Let's keep it that way.
Hunters Hill is our home. It is a special place with statewide significance. To keep it for future generations, we must maintain existing heritage controls, keep current densities and height restrictions, protect our hard-won public parkland and buildings from government asset sales, and shun the creeping high-rise development so prevalent on our boundaries. Make no mistake, the proposal to amalgamate Hunters Hill and leave us with one councillor will be the end of Hunters Hill as we know it. We need staff and councillors who know our suburb intimately, represent us and as a community across all our wards, protect our heritage and uphold our existing planning controls. To save Hunters Hill, we need to be represented by the current number of councillors elected from our municipality with our own dedicated council staff. Sadly, we also need stronger representation from our local member who won the last election on a personal platform of no forced amalgamation, but has been completely invisible.
I am woman, hear me roar. So back off, Mike Baird. We don't want your forced amalgamations. On radio, you were clearly asked by Alan Jones if there will be a forced amalgamation, and you said yes, even though over 80% of the people said no. You are annihilating local democracy at grassroots levels and taking away the voice of the people who will no longer have a say as to what happens in their own backyard.
I had a friend from primary school visit not long ago. He grew up in Hunters Hill but hadn't been back for many years. He goes, "Wow, this place has hardly changed at all." And I said, "Yes, and you wouldn't know how much work goes into making it look like that." People often think our councils are rates, roads and rubbish, but that's the day-to-day stuff. The main role we play is that we are keepers of place. And over the long years, the contribution to its evolution, fighting to protect it, all the investment of all the people here today and all the people in Hunters Hill over 155 years, our blood, sweat and tears have shaped this council and made it our own. Its strategic focus, its heritage preservation, keeping of the character in the setting of a rapidly evolving and growing Sydney.
The thing that really gets me is we've been ambushed. The Baird government has not pursued an open, transparent and democratic process to arrive at this amalgamation proposal, and now they're bent on trying to force these amalgamations through before the next state election. We've been saddened to hear some people say the amalgamation is inevitable, get out of the way. We say that people power can stop this abuse of democracy. This is a demonstration here this evening. The current government should seek a mandate at the next state election. They should find out what the voters really want. The proposed amalgamation with Ryde and Lane Cove will see Hunters Hill representation down to 1 in a council of 15. We won't be heard. At a time when there is great concern about reduced engagement in politics and in local groups, the proposed amalgamations will reduce that local involvement. It's local government rather than federal or state that's instrumental in establishing that sense of community. Hunters Hill municipality must live on.
I'm Arthur Chesterfield-Evans. I'm an ex-state upper house member, and I was there when the Liberals were fighting against Labor, who were trying to amalgamate councils. I want to speak about just want to use one word, Quisling. I don't know how many of you know what a Quisling is. Quisling was this Norwegian government that invited Nazi Germany in. Quisling was elected not with that as his policy, and then had that as his policy when the war started. And the word Quisling remains. The legitimacy of governments, I believe, is because the people elected them. If they don't do the will of the people, they have no legitimacy. They are Quisling governments. Unfortunately, in English-speaking democracies, we have this winner takes all. So when one gets totally corrupt, the other one storms in. To claim that they have a mandate to do anything they want is absurd. All they were was better than the other ones we just threw out, thank you very much. This government has no legitimacy for this action. And thus it must be opposed. That's I would say. They are not a legitimate government. Why they are doing this, I think it's for developers and their monies. I think it's the final sale of government. It's not corruption anymore. You don't get corrupt to get a little development. You buy the government and it does what you want. That's the stage we have reached in Western society, I believe. America's had it for some time and we've got it now. We've got to stop it and it's got to stop now. We have the legitimacy. The government is Quisling. Thank you.
Where children sail and run and ride and play. This is a special place, a place with history, a place where waters meet and people meet, a close community. We want to keep this place, a place of peace and care. Where fig trees spread, where possums hide, where sailboats tilt, where ferries glide, a special place for you.